We're talking to Attorney Michael Yusinko, Senior Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Welcome to StoryCon, Attorney. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir. We're here to talk to you about dynasties. The proposed, actually, so many proposed anti-dynasty bills. I counted mga 21 ang nasa Kongreso. They run the gamut from second degree to fourth degree, and so many jurisdictions or clusterings involved and all that. Is there such a thing as a workable, acceptable
version of the bill?
Version of the bill from your point of view?
That's going to at least solve some of these problems that dynasties have brought about.
Yeah, there should be, no? And ang thinking dapat natin is, because this is lawmaking, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? No? Dun tayo magsisimula. And that's where we'll get yung tinatawag na viable or acceptable legislation. So, based sa mga pag-aaral, hindi lang namin, but marami nang nakapag-aral nito, the problem really is yung sabay-sabay na magkakamag-anak na nakaluklok sa pwesto. No? So, ang perfect example is si Pangulong Marcos. No? Yung meron siyang kapatid na nasa Senado, meron siyang anak sa House, tapos meron pa siyang mga kamag-anak sa kanyang locality. Another example of the problem is si dating Speaker Romualdez na mag-asawa sila, tapos yung anak nila, sabay-sabay silang nasa Kongreso. So that's another manifestation of the problem. And of course, the last, yung isa pang obvious na problema, manifestation ng problema is yung mga magkakapatid sa Senado. Pero ang pinakamalapit na manifestation ng problema sa mga taong bayan is yung governor, kamag-anak yung vice governor, tapos kamag-anak din yung mayor sa isang city sa probinsya, at most likely kamag-anak din nila yung
vice mayor,
representante sa distrito nila. So that is another manifestation of the problem. So yun yung mga dapat simulan natin. Those are the problems or manifestations of the problem we want to solve with this legislation.
Sir, these are the so-called fat dynasties, no? Yung horizontal lang pag-i-spread.
That's correct. Yun yung parang technical term na na-invento ni Dean July Tihanki, yung fat and obese dynasty.
Pero the one that the speaker wants to push forth, we were talking about it earlier with si Garin. We were talking with Garin about
Janet
it earlier.
Garin.
Yeah, Janet Garin. Meron silang tinatawag na clustering. Ibig sabihin, sa
national,
local level, pwede kayong sabay-sabay basta
provincial,
magkakaiba kayong jurisdiction. For example, ibang munisipyo naman o ibang probinsya naman. So, meron silang tinatawag na clustering as a way of isolating the dynasties, I suppose. Is that a workable
meaning,
solution?
hindi pwede yung governor and vice governor, mayor and vice mayor.
Level
Parang
ba?
ganun lang.
Level.
Yeah, like I said, that's actually the problem that we're trying to solve, di ba? Yung magkakasabay sila sa isang geographical area, no? Like probinsya, tsaka yung distrito, lahat sila nandoon magkakamag-anak. So yung sinasabi nila na pwedeng payagan ba yung magkamag-anak pero ibang geographical area. So that is one, I think, hindi siya maka-capture nung prohibition kung ang tema natin ay susolusyonan natin yung problema.
Ang sabi sa amin ni Janet Garin, we have to be realistic about it dahil ang magpapasa niyan, Kongreso and Senate, both packed with dynasty. Sabi niya, if we want a bill na talagang mapapasa, we have to settle for incremental change. No, do you agree with that observation?
I don't agree completely with that observation or with that view kasi lawmakers should take the signal from the people, no? At halatang alam naman natin, obvious na kung pagbabasihan mo surveys, pagbabasihan mo yung mobilizations ng civil society, the people want a law enacted, and the right law, hindi yung tinatawag na compromised law. No? So,
Pero
yung-
sabi niya,
yung na ganun-
pinagbabasihan niya, ang resulta daw ng mga eleksyon because they keep getting elected. Sabi niya, especially at the local level, congressional, mukha naman daw walang pushback against dynasties kasi in fact, that's why they're thriving. Yun yung takbo ng argumentong yun eh. Anong tingin mo doon?
Baliktad eh. Baliktad yung argumento eh na kaya sila nananalo dahil binoboto sila. Right? While that could be true, pero yung kabaliktaran nun, yung katotohanan nun, based on figures is, nananalo sila, nabuboto sila kasi walang choice yung tao. Paano ang botante? Sino boboto ng botante kapag ang tumatakbo Dynasty A versus Dynasty B versus Dynasty C? Right? So, walang choice. Whereas in the 2025 elections, nakita natin kung may choice yung tao between a dynasty and a non-dynasty, ang iboboto niya non-dynasty. That is what we saw in the 2025 election. So, kung ako sasagot kay Congresswoman Garin, sasabihin ko sa kanya, kaya ganun ang realidad natin is because masyado ng maraming fat dynasties at they are choking the electoral competition. Pero kung bigyan mo ng pagkakataon yung mga non-dynasty, boboto sila ng tao, boboto sila ng mga botante because voters know na hindi na talaga maganda ang sitwasyon natin na we are now dominated. Our politics and our governance is dominated or are dominated by dynastic politicians.
Last week, attorney, nagsalita ako doon sa National Assembly ng Caritas Philippines. Isa doon sa pari roon, yung executive director, ay nagsalita at sabi niya, nakausap niya si President Bongbong Marcos at sabi ni President Bongbong Marcos kung itong version ni Speaker Bogie D ang lulusot na bill na law on anti-dynasty ay isusumpa sila ng mga Pilipino. Ibig sabihin, ayaw niya ng bill na nakapirma mismo yung kanyang anak at yung kanyang speaker. No? Kaya tingin ko, naghahanap sila ng viable compromise. Pero not yung bill na sinasabi ni Congresswoman Garin. No? Hindi yon. Mismo yung Malacanang, according dun sa mga bishops na nakipag-usap sa presidente, mismo daw yung presidente ay ayaw nun. So, yung tanong na attorney, parang broad strokes, indicative. Ano yung tingin nyo yung pwedeng maging compromise? Third degree of consanguinity o SK version na second degree of consanguinity, yung BARM version ba? So, ano yung indications of a compromise?
For me kasi the way I would look at it is not through the lens of compromise. The way I would look at it is ano ba yung viable in terms of enforcement. No? So if you look at it, paano ba natin mai enforce yung prohibition? Let's look at it that way first. So ang first point of enforcement usually will come at the point of filing the certificate of candidacy. Okay? So, kung gusto natin mag-prohibit, we have to look at the situation at that point, no? Na ang COMELEC ang nag-evaluate, ang COMELEC ang parang nasa frontline who will determine sino ba yung bawal na relasyon. So, in that regard, yung second degree relations is really the most viable because it's the easiest to determine. Right? Kung halimbawa, nasa harap ng isang COMELEC official, dalawang certificate of candidacy, doon pa lang sa mga detalye doon sa pangalan, sa kamag-anak, immediately magkakaroon na siya ng idea kung magkamag-anak to o hindi. And therefore, madidetermine na niya, oh, bawal na to, hindi na to pwede, prohibited na to because it falls within the second degree of consanguinity or affinity. Whereas kung fourth degree or third degree, at that point of enforcement, ang hirap i-determine kung applicable na ba yung prohibition. Halimbawa, dalawang kandidato magkaapelido, pero there are no common relatives, pero pareho ang apelido nila. Right? So, mahihirapan ngayon ng COMELEC to determine, pasok ba to sa ban, sa fourth degree? So at that point, hindi pa niya madidetermine kung prohibited na ba to, hindi na ba niya tatanggapin yung certificate of candidacy na to. Now, you can just imagine kung ilang sitwasyon na gano'n ang mangyayari, considering na napakarami na nating mga dynasties na tumatakbo every election. So, that's the way I would look at it, na ano ba yung mas viable when it comes to the enforcement of the prohibition, thinking that the first point of enforcement is yung pag-file ng certificate of candidacy.
That's a very pragmatic way of looking at it. So just to be very clear, second degree of consanguinity covers grandfather, grandmother, grandson, granddaughter, brother, and sister. Second degree of affinity covers father-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and daughter-in-law. So you're saying that this is the best case scenario. Hanggang doon, kaya pa ng COMELEC to determine which certificates are viable.
Pasok pa yung mga first cousins.
So up to third degree of consanguinity.
First cousin, yeah.
First cousin.
First cousins is second degree. Pasok siya dun sa second degree of consanguinity or affinity.
First cousin is, I think, fourth degree, no? The child... okay.
No, fourth
cousin.
degree is pang-apat na. So great-grandparent or great-grand
I see.
apo.
I think we just illustrated your point. Ang hirap i-trace. What I meant by first cousin once removed. So the child of my cousin, that's once removed. Yun yung fourth degree. Actually, and there are also critics who argue along these lines saying that if you go up to the fourth degree of consanguinity, for example, the casualties of that would be people like Vico Soto, right, who's related to Senate President Tito Soto. So here you have Vico Soto, who's seen as a reformist, young, promising politician. Magiging casualty din siya ng anti-political dynasty bill like this.
Yeah, and also if I may add, when we talk about yung relationship with within the fourth degree, karamihan naman ng mga dynasties natin are not that big, no? Sabihin, hindi ganon, except siguro sa BARM. Sa BARM, we can see examples of dynasties na hanggang fifth degree pa ang
Yes.
sakop nila, no? So kadalasan ang mga dynasties natin, yung fat dynasties na nakikita natin, at least majority of them really are nakakumpol dun sa second degree, like Marcos, Duterte, sila D, Romualdez. So if we're with the mindset of solving the problem with this legislation, sa second degree pa lang, marami na tayong matatamaan na dynasties in power.
Is it more important to rein in the fat dynasties, yung sabay-sabay, or the thin dynasties which succession, which follows succession, wherein the family members inherit the positions?
Yung sabay-sabay, because that is the problem, no? Diyan na nagsimula yung contractors eh. Diyan na nagsimula yung pag-capture ng mga dynasties sa budget process natin eh. Kasi nagkakaroon na ng conspiracy, di ba, na merong congressman, ang kamag-anak niya yung mayor, kamag-anak na, meron silang kamag-anak sa Senado. So dito nagdidikit-dikit na dito. So it's really the fat dynasty that's the problem, no? So yung sunod-sunod, yan, actually, I'm medyo on the fence ako doon kasi yung sunod-sunod, meron akong pangamba doon kasi kung pabawalan natin yung sunod-sunod, aside from yung sabay-sabay, ang mangyayari nun kasi, you're going to parang bracket a certain part of our society, no? Tapos sasabihin mo, at a given election, hindi kayo pwedeng tumakbo lahat. So my fear is that could violate the Equal Protection Clause kasi you are creating a special category for them that is detrimental to them, no? Dahil hindi sila makakatakbo at a specific election pero ang ibang tao pwedeng tumakbo. So that to me requires further discussion from other constitutional law scholars kasi that can potentially violate
Yeah.
the Equal
I
Protection
think that's also
Clause
what,
kung pagbabawalan natin yung sunod-sunod.
Pero, sir, on the other hand kasi, you also have the problem of some jurisdictions having been ruled by one family for so many generations and they've never moved forward. I mean, ang dami sa Pilipinas na ganun
Yun yung problema sa mga probinsya na may governor, tapos pag step down, papamana sa asawa.
Asawa o anak.
Very vehement yung simbahan at saka civil society dyan sa succession.
Yeah.
Dahil kunyari, parang naging yung buong probinsya, naging kingdom. Lalo na kung ipapamana.
Tapos after so many generations,
Yeah.
hindi umuusad ang probinsya o yung syudad o yung munisipyo. Parang
Umuusad yung pamilya.
Yeah, parang it remains
Nagiging
second.
Parang yung patuan, di ba?
Naging kunyari,
Your
iconic.
clan controls entire Maguindanao. Ang hirap-hirap, yung clan ang yaman-yaman. Diba?
Naging iconic yan sa pagiging dynasty. Yung yung ipinapamana yung posisyon.
Direct
Not
succession.
yung governorship.
So,
Hindi ba yun ang
let
essence
me-
ng dynasty building? Direct succession.
Actually, that's the essence of the regular dynasty.
Dynasty
Yung
building.
sunod-sunod kayo,
Yeah,
di ba?
direct
Yung-
succession.
That's the ordinary definition of a dynasty, di ba?
Yeah.
Pinapamana mo yung... But ang dynasty kasi natin, na problema, is yung fat dynasty, yung sabay-sabay. That's the problem. Dynasty on
Pareho natin
steroids,
problema
sabi
kasi
nga.
actually.
Hindi,
Fat and
yung
thin,
sunod-sunod kasi, actually, that unravels something about this effort to enact the anti-dynasty law. Kasi we cannot divorce it from the fact na kailangan din natin mag-produce ng mga leaders na papalit. Because the anti-dynasty law will create a vacuum, right? So, kailangan meron din tayong ready na ipapalit na hindi dynasty quality or hindi dynasty. So, that's actually one way of addressing yung problema ng sunod-sunod. Kasi once the electoral competition opens, right? Kailangan, meron tayong mga fini-field doon na champions of democracy integrity. So that yung mga botante, they will now have a choice, a real choice, a free choice, na iboboto na nila yung karapat-dapat, hindi lang dahil may pangalan. So, that's one way to answer yung critique na dapat kailangan din yung sunod-sunod. No? Kasi ito nga yung gusto natin mapigilan. Well, pwede natin pigilan yon in the democratic way. Now that yung electoral competition, kung napagbawal na yung sabay-sabay, dahil yun naman ng malaking problema, then meron na tayong puwang na mag-field ng mga karapat-dapat na kandidato na dapat kampante tayo na iboboto na ng tao kasi sila naman talaga yung karapat-dapat iboto.
Pero attorney, wala kang assurance dyan Dahil because for generations na dinodominate ng dynasty yung isang probinsya, ay hindi ka nakakasigurado na merong mga magle-level up na mga alternative sa kanila. Pero kunyari, chicken and egg yan Di ba? Pag hindi mo pinagbawal yung dynasties, wala rin namang possibility na may sumulpot. No? Kaya nga kaya mo sila tinatanggal para kahit papano, kahit hindi pa ganun kahanda, no, ay magsimulang mag-generate ng mga bago. Pero kung sasabihin mo na kailangan mo na mag-generate ng mga bago, hindi ganun kadali yon. Dahil generations yung ginamit para sila ay takutin, patayin, no, etc.
So, I'm not saying na kailangan sabay Kailangan sabay mangyari. Kasi look at it this way, kung ipagbabawal mo rin yung sunod-sunod, there is also no assurance. Gaya na sinabi mo, wala ring assurance na may papalit sa kanila. Because there will be because of those years na nag-dominate yung dynasty. So, what's the resolution there, di ba? Ang resolution is, dapat tayo sa civil society, we should be looking at that possibility and start preparing now, no? Kasabay nung pag-enact ng law. Ang punto natin is, ang talagang dapat ipagbawal, non-negotiable, is yung sabay-sabay, because all of the evidence and the data show na itong sabay-sabay, sila yung nag-choke dun sa electoral competition. Right? So kung tanggalin mo na yon, ipagbawal mo na yung sabay-sabay, electoral competition will be freed up, and dapat handa na tayo na meron tayong maisasalang doon na champions natin. And hopefully hindi mo na kailangan na ipagbawal pa yung sunod-sunod, because it's very fraught. Yung sunod-sunod is fraught, no? So ayaw natin yun because it can make the regulation even more complicated.
So at the very...
Pero sa ating local government system, halimbawa, yung governor, ang laki ng role niya, ang laki ng influence niya sa mga mayors. In a way, yung mga mayors, ang laki ng influence sa mga barangay captains. Di ba? So, ganun kasi ka-hierarchical yung ating sistema. Kaya yung iba, given a choice, magfo-focus sila dun sa probinsya, dun sa governorship, at yun ang ipapamana nila dun sa kanilang asawa. Dahil kahit pagpalagay mo na hindi nila kontrolado yung mga mayors, pero hindi nila kamag-anak yung mga mayors, pero the system of control ay very crucial yung governorship. Dahil sa ating sistema.
Yeah, that's true. But kung pinagbawal mo na kasi yung sabay-sabay, that means isang member lang sa pamilya ang pwedeng tumakbo at the local level.
Or
So,
a potential, maybe a potential...
Kumbaga, the concept of concentrating power on a single family is now overturned, no? Kasi kung halimbawa isa lang ang pwedeng tumakbo for governor, the rest of the positions hindi na niya kamag-anak. So electoral competition now, and even competition, democratic competition, is opened up. No, wala na yung parang cartelization ng local power sa isang pamilya lang. Tandaan natin, ang pinagbabawal natin is yung sabay-sabay. So isang miyembro lang ng pamilya ang pwedeng tumakbo. So kung halimbawa tumakbo ka sa governor, ikaw lang ang pwede, ikaw lang sa pamilya mo ang tatakbo. Right?
Yeah.
Kung manalo ka, then you have no familial allies in the council, in the vice governor, in the mayor, kasi ikaw lang yung pwedeng tumakbo, at kung nanalo ka, ikaw lang yung nasa pwesto. That's the idea of pinagbabawal natin yung sabay-sabay. That's the scenario that we want to see, kasi that solves the problem of yung sinasabi ni Ronald na nagkakaroon ng cartelization ng power doon sa Kapitolyo, sa munisipyo, etc.
Or Professor, maybe a compromise would be you ban yung sabay-sabay outright, the fat dynasties, tapos yung succession, you put limits on it. So it doesn't become a generational thing where they hand down positions from across many generations, from the father to the son to the grandson, and so on and so forth. May limits, may term limits lang yung succession. So in a way, parang it still breaks the political elite capture, right? Would that work?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, except lang, yung sinasabi ko nga kanina, it's fraught, no? Because in my view, it can be susceptible to question na it violates equal protection clause kasi ang mangyayari niyan kung pinagbawal mo yung yung sunod-sunod, that's going to create a particular class. At sasabihin mo sa kanila, in one election, bawal kayong tumakbo dahil sinusundan niyo yung kamag-anak niyo. Now, that particular class now will be burdened, right? They will be burdened by that prohibition.
Yeah. So, sa bagay,
Ang mangyayari niyan,
that's also...
hindi yun applicable sa ibang pamilya.
Oo. That's
Right?
also...
Sa ibang pamilya, hindi applicable yon. So, dun lang ako nangangamba na
Oo. Prof,
that can be susceptible to
that's
that argument.
that's also what Congresswoman Janet Garin told us, which is that they were worried that some members of the lower house will question the constitutionality of these new provisions if pumasa nga. But nevertheless, based on what you have heard and read about how these bills are moving along in Congress, are you hopeful that we might finally see a version of this anti-political dynasty bill come to reality?
Not just what we're seeing in Congress, no, but more so with other factors, considering other factors like the fact that sinabi ni President Marcos that this is a priority bill, it's part of the LEDAC list. Also, yung sinabi ni Sir Ronald na mismong si Pangulong Marcos sinasabi na dapat ipasa, right, yung tamang bill. And of course, I think yung biggest factor is yung mobilization ng civil society, which now includes several local government units also saying na they want the enactment to happen, no? So if you consider that big picture, no, na marami ng confluence of support for the enactment of the law, parang tumataas yung kumpiyansa natin na hindi naman siguro ganun kamanhid ang mga mambabatas natin na ito na nga lahat ng nakikita nila tapos magmamatigas pa sila na hindi ipapasa tong batas na to.
pahabol
Well,
lang.
in the last 40 years, they hadn't thought to see fit to pass it, right? So, nasa batas na nga, nasa constitution na nga, di ba?
In fairness sa kanila, wala pang ganitong confluence of events dati. Dati kasi meron mga silent supporters lang, like si President Aquino dati in 2015. Siguro, Sir Ronald can say, he was supportive of the passage of the bill. Kaya lang, naubusan na ng panahon. Even dating speaker, si Speaker Belmonte, was actually championing the passage of the bill. Kaya lang nakulangan na ng panahon. Pero ngayon kasi, perfect timing. May oras, may basbas ng Pangulo, tapos very strong ang civil society support, meron ng social media na halos lahat ng mga post support for the bill, for the passing of the bill.
Pero ngayon sila pinaka-entrenched eh. Pinakamalala actually yung situation ngayon.
Yeah. About 80%
Ah,
yata of lower
Well,
house.
Ngayon lang
Yeah.
tayo nakakita ng ganitong Senado na tatlo-tatlong set ng magkakapatid nandun. Ngayon lang tayo nakakita ng
numbers.
House na ganyan karaming
Yeah.
magkakamag-anak.
Yeah, by numbers, tama yun. No? But I think, given the situation, siguro, maybe I'm just naive, no? But given what we're seeing in civil society, this is actually the most vulnerable position they have been, no? Na meron talagang active push for the enactment of the law. Kung hindi pa matuloy ngayon, I don't think talagang magbabago tong sistema natin. Kung hindi pa nila ma-enacto by June.
Sir Pablo lang, si JC Punong Bayan had an interesting question a few days ago. He was asking, do we already have a study that shows the causality between economic problems and dynasties? Parang we had some sort of discussion with this before with Ron Mendoza.
Si Dean Mendoza published such a study a few years ago. Oo.
It was a chicken and egg question before eh. Hindi, ang sabi ni JC kasi it didn't really show causality, and I remember parang si Dean Mendoza also said the same thing na it's not necessarily causality, it was another word that he used eh.
Correlation.
Correlation.
Oo. Do dynasties create poverty or does poverty create dynasties?
So it's not a binary. It's both, no? It's both. Poverty creates dynasties and kumbaga it's parang symbiotic
They feed on each
equation,
other.
right? We are at that point na symbiotic relationship na sila. So I think the question na meron bang causality between the dynasties and I think ang tanong ni Professor Punong Bayan is economic outcomes, no? Poor
Yeah.
economic outcomes. Now, meron yan. Kaya lang, it's not probably a direct straight line. Right? Kung ini-imagine mo na ito yung dynasty tapos may direct line na poor economic outcomes, I don't think it's going to be that way. No? Ang alam natin, dynasties facilitate corruption in government. That we know. There is evidence of that. There have been many studies proving that. Alam din natin, corruption in government produces or leads to poor economic outcomes. Marami na rin pag-aaral dyan at alam na ng mga economists yan. So, kung ipagsama mo yung dalawang pag-iisip na yon, doon mo masasabi that there is causation, di ba? Dynasties, next step, corruption, next step, poor economic outcomes.
And of course, let's not
Ay,
forget they also...
medyo mahaba-haba yan dahil may interplay yan ng corruption, ng inequality, ng development, ng poverty, at saka concentration of political power.
Oo.
Na medyo mahabang diskusyon yan.
Oo nga eh. And to add on to what Attorney Yusinko was saying, and of course, let's not forget yung it weakens the institutions, right? If it's all controlled by family members. But we've run out of time today, so we will leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us, Attorney Michael Yusinko, Senior Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks
sir.
so much,
Thank you,
sir.
Attorney.